Hey, Mark Shepard here, and welcome to HonestHypnosis.com and MarkShepardSongs.com. We are talking today about gardening theory, and this strange new little idea, it's not so new maybe, came to me in a process of what in neurolinguistic programming we call reframing. I was trying to find some way to get a feedback mechanism to understand, not in an ego-driven, me, self-important way, but in a basic energy expenditure evaluation process, whether some of the things that I do on a daily basis that feel right and good and in alignment with my spirit, my energy, my soul, are actually things that are getting me towards where I want to go, right? Or are they just distractions, right? Because if I was in school today, I would probably be labeled as ADD or ADHD or I might be on the spectrum. I don't know. We have all these labels today that we didn't have when I was a kid, but I know that I get overwhelmed easily. I have ideas pouring through me all the time, and new ideas grab my attention and my imagination and kind of pull me along, and I will dive deep into, let's say lately I'm into microgreens and the possibility of growing mushrooms. Just I get excited about those things. And one of the reasons I like gardening is not because I grew up with it as a kid, because I hated gardening growing up, because I was always like, my parents used me for heavy lifting and digging and weeding, right? And I just resented gardens. My dad had a garden, but I was the one that dug it. I was the one that did all the planting. I was the one that did all the harvesting. And my mom, was into kind of landscaping our yard a little bit. So I was the one that dug the holes. I was the one that lifted the heavy bushes and put them in the holes and filled in the holes. And in several of the relationships in my life, I kind of fulfilled that same purpose. I was always working in someone else's garden. And then recently, the last two places I've lived, I've had my own garden. And I've started growing greens right in my house so that I can have fresh salads all winter long. And I've been growing stuff out in my yard, and even though I don't have the best sunlight in my particular yard, I'm just growing stuff. I love growing stuff. And what I like about growing, other than the fact that it's a way to get exercise that actually accomplishes something, because I like that. I don't like just exercising. Like, I want to do actual work. If I'm going to do work, if I'm going to lift something, well, let me lift something and take it someplace and put it where I want it to be. Do you know what I mean? So along the lines, I had long conversations with Michael Guerin about this online marketing thing, because we've been studying it now since 2006, 2007. And this whole journey I've been on as far as trying to take the practice that I do or have done with clients and turn it into self-help courses online has been really frustrating for me in a lot of ways. Just as when I have a concert, trying to get people to come is very frustrating to me. And sometimes I wonder, what it is. And on one level, I know that I have to work on reframing what I make things mean. And we're going to talk about this a lot in the next 90-day challenge. And gardening theory is a big piece of what happened in my own mind to help me to chill out. And that's this. If you're planting lettuce, or right now I'm planting sunflower seeds and pea shoots and radishes for microgreens, pretty much in a week, I can start eating those crops, right? That's a fast return, right? Something like a tomato, it's today as I'm recording this, it's day 81 of the current 90-day challenge, which is challenge number 4. And it's March 30th. I do not have any tomatoes growing in my backyard. right? I don't have any tomatoes even started. I'm probably not even going to plant tomatoes this year. But if I did plant them, it would be after Memorial Day, and I wouldn't expect to harvest till August, right? Now, if I was planting a bed of asparagus, that would be a 3 to 5 year project of return, right? So what I don't know is how long it's going to take if I do a video every day on YouTube for my tribe to somehow organically find me, right? I don't know the answer to that. That's a variable. And with gardening, I know I can look at the seed packet and see how long it's going to take from planting to harvesting. And I know what it's going to be. So for me, what really helped as a creative person to not put so much pressure on each of my projects is to think about each thing that I do. Let's say songs. My songwriting career might be more like planting an orchard. I may not get a return for another 10 or 20 years. I may not get a return in my lifetime. It may be kind of like planting a grove of walnut trees, right? I may plant them now. I'm 56 years old. I may see them grow, but I may not eat a single nut before I pass on. We're all going to die, right? And I keep reminding myself, we're all going to die. I'm going to die. So even though I don't know what the return is on my songs, I still have to keep doing it. I still have to water that grove of trees, and I still have to prune them. I still have to pay attention to them and make sure that they're getting the soil, the nutrients, the sunlight, that there aren't other trees crowding them. I need to take care of that plot, right? And then I have, let's say, my school gigs, my drum song story gigs. Those are more like tomatoes. Like I will often book those 6 months to a year in advance. So, 6 months to 12 months, right? So if I do a big marketing push now for Drum Song Story, pretty much it will get me gigs next year. And sometimes it's hard to put energy into something that is not going to have an immediate return. But if you want the long-term result, you have to put the time in, even though you're not being paid today. Does that make sense? So these are some of my gardens. My hypnosis practice, I'm currently reevaluating that. I'm not seeing clients individually anymore, and I'm transforming to more of a group setting, and I'm experimenting with that. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to do my next 90-day challenge, and so that's a 90-day thing, right? And I can commit to doing something that's uncomfortable or that brings up my stuff for 90 days because I know at the end I'll have a break and I can reevaluate. That's why I love this whole 90-day thing, is because I can really go for it. I can take a couple of projects and just really push into them and dive into them and kind of report on them as I go, and then reevaluate and reflect on it at the end. So, some things are quick, some things are not. And the thing is, with art and music and let's say even writing, quite often it's not till later in an artist's life that he or she really begins to do their best work, because their art is now informed by an entire lifetime of ideas, experiences, impressions, feelings, resolutions, realizations, insights, blah, 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 right? So, and as we get older, the idea of doing the art for the sake of doing it, that's controlled folly. So I'm calling this my controlled folly farm. I don't know where to put that. We'll call it controlled folly farm. So I want you to just think about this today. Think about the different things you're interested in your life. You may have a job. A lot of us have a day job, right? That brings in money now, right? And a lot of us have to keep doing the day job while we're working on our big vision for our life. A lot of online marketers that I've talked to, they were working 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and coming home, grabbing a quick dinner and working on their online marketing into the evening, right? So with gardening theory, there's also what crops are you going to stop growing? That's one of my biggest questions. What do you stop doing, and when do you stop doing those things so that you can then, focus on the really key core things that just make your heart sing. And that's what we're all about here, all right, is finding that place to make your heart sing. And for me, one of the struggles I've had is I love creating content. I can paint all day. I can write songs all day. I can record all day. One of my fantasies is to have, once a week to go down to the studio and work on my next song with Joe Monona and Gene Moore and Joy Adler, and Riley O'Neill to collaborate just once a week, maybe 3 weeks out of every month, once a week to collaborate with these amazing musicians, and perhaps even to find and meet other musicians who could join us and to create something that is just life affirming for all of us, right? And life affirming for anybody who listens, and something that just transforms and excites and enlightens and fills people's lives with joy. That's one of my main big things. But in the process, I'm still going to grow a garden. I still want to grow microgreens, and I'm exploring that and expanding that. And I just did my first couple of batches, and I'm going to do a video on that soon. And my friend Robin is joining me in the microgreens and fermented food things, and I'm going to get my dad going on it, some other friends. And, so I'm always interested in new things. I will never stop expanding or trying new gardens. It's just part of the creative process. However, again, the reframe is, if you don't get an instant result in something, is it because you think you're supposed to, right? Like, growing up, I saw all these people in their 20s becoming famous for making music that was of equal caliber to my music, or vice versa. But I couldn't seem to get famous for it. And that's still one of my struggles. How do I get people to actually listen? Like, I go to my YouTube channel, and I have 73 people at this point. And when you come here, maybe there were more. 73 people. And to me, that's like, I've made over 400 videos in the last year, and I only have 73 subscribers. I can get a whole mindset of how that's pathetic, how that's been a waste of time. See, this doesn't work. I can have all these negative things, but if I flip it into gardening theory, I go, well, this is actually a grove of nut trees, and 73 is pretty good, right? Because what happens with YouTube, and what I've seen happen with some other people, is there's kind of a this is time and this is numbers. You start making your videos, and very few people are watching them, and all of a sudden there's a spike, right? And we call this the tipping point. Malcolm Gladwell talked about that in one of his books. But the thing is, we don't know, and that's why it's controlled folly. We're doing it. I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep writing songs. I'm going to keep recording them. I'm going to keep putting them up and putting them out and doing the best I can without driving myself insane to self-promote, but hopefully to do it in a way that's authentic and from my heart. And if that does the job, great. If it doesn't, well, you know what? I did the best I could. And I'm going to just keep doing that. And I'm going to keep making music. And I'm just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. There's no question anymore about giving up. And that's what gardening theory gave to me. It's just a perspective of, it's like if I plant a walnut tree today and go out in my yard tomorrow and get upset because I don't have walnuts yet, that's just ridiculous, right? And that's the thing, is we don't often know with our own lives and our own careers what we actually have to go through. What are our steps of apprenticeship and how long that takes? There's no defined line. So by shifting it in your mind that gives you power to stop beating yourself up, because that's one of my, I was a good beat myself upper because I was so highly sensitive as a kid that even, a frown from one of my parents would send me into a state of anxiety. So I tried really, really hard to just kind of beat them to the criticism. So I would just criticize myself. And that's been a gift because there's no harsher critic than myself as far as demanding high quality output. I do the best I can, and that's great. But at the same time, we don't have any idea of what is really involved in living our on-purpose life. And so you got to start somewhere, and you don't know when the quote-unquote payback is going to be. And Michael Guerin said to me 2 days ago, we had a long conversation, a 2-hour conversation, because I was just frustrated because every time I have this idea to do a group thing, it ends up being so much work to try to get people to opt in, to join or whatever, that I get frustrated because I have a lot to offer and I want to share not just my music, but all of these ideas about transformation and personal development that have really helped me and are still helping me, tools that I use every single day just to keep my head in the right place rather than freaking out about stuff that really is out of my control. That stuff I want to share with people, and I want to do it in a way that is ecological and congruent for me, and that creates an exchange that's a win-win, right? So that I get something and the people I share it with get something of equal value, equal or greater value, or ideally that they feel like they got way more value than they paid for. That's my intention. So gardening theory helps me when I remember to reframe things and look through that filter. So try it today. Look at your life and see how your relationships, your job, your career, your health, all of these things are different gardens. Here's an example. For weight loss, one of the frustrations I experience as a hypnotherapist working with people for weight loss over the years has been the frustration people feel when they don't lose X amount of weight every day or X amount every week. If they hit a plateau or whatever, they just want to throw everything away. They just want to give up, And I know that feeling because I've done that with my music. I know what it's like. I've been trying to get my music out for 40 years. It's easy for me to go, you know what, this is pointless. Every time I do this, it doesn't work out. It's the same thing we tell ourselves with weight loss, with trying to quit a habit, smoking, with relationships. We keep getting into these same relationships over and over again, the same patterns. And so the idea of the 90-day challenge is to have a group of people to support you and me with my experience to help you shift these things. And one of the tools that I use a lot is the reframe tool of gardening theory. So give it a shot today, see how it works. And please, if you have just come to my channel, please subscribe and click the little bell thing so you get a notification whenever I put something new up. And if you could like it, that helps a lot too. If you could share it. My goal is to get to 100 subscribers here on YouTube in the next couple of months. That would be awesome. And to use things like number of subscribers as a tool, a measurement, not as a reason to beat myself up, right? So hopefully that's helpful for you. This has been kind of a conversational hypnosis session, and when I look back at these, I realize that there's a lot of suggestions and embedded commands, and I'm using something called displacing the referential index, which I can tell you more about if you join us in the next 90-day challenge. Challenge number 5 for me, it's coming up. It's going to start April 9th, which is a Sunday, but that's the official kickoff. I like starting on the 9th because it gives me a little time at the end of a challenge and before a challenge to really kind of fine-tune and tweak and get my direction set so that I can really hit it hard, boom, once the challenge starts. So that's it for now. I love you guys. Peace, grooviness. Subscribe, like, and share. Check out my courses at honesthypnosis.com. Check out my music at markshepherdsongs.com or bandcamp.com, markshepard.bandcamp.com. Blah, 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 blah. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Gotta go. peace, grooviness, and the sun just came out, which is pretty cool. I might actually go outside. This March is still kind of cold, but we're getting there. Spring's coming. Bye.